Episode 1, A Tear Red. Alright, this is the third time I'm uploading this. If it doesn't work, I will just give up. My name is Jasper Morgan, and 4 days ago, I stopped existing. My home, my job, my savings, even my cats, it's all gone. No, not gone. Taken from me. They took it from me. I refuse to believe that any of this was just a coincidence. I will not accept that the world can and will fuck you over to this extent by pure chance. I hate it when people talk to you about karmic justice, like somehow it's the universe getting back at you for something bad you've done. It's all bullshit. All of this was someone's doing. Someone sat down and planned all of this, even if it sounds completely crazy. Someone decided to ruin my life, piece by piece, until the only thing left for them to take would be my life. This is the only way that I can rationalize this bizarre chain of events that got me here, even if I can't even begin to understand why someone would single me out for this. The alternative to all of this just being a conscious effort to ruin me is unacceptable. The universe just isn't that cruel. It just isn't. I am recording this because this is the only thing that I could find that they hadn't gotten to. I have not uploaded any videos to this account for 3 years and 2 months. Frankly, I had all but forgotten that it existed, and maybe that's why they didn't get to it. I have managed to keep up appearances despite spending the last couple of days living on the street. So, thankfully, I was able to get access to a room with a computer, a webcam, and a microphone at the city library. I have spent the last 40 minutes trying to record my story, and hopefully this time I have gotten it working. I have lost my job at the high school that I have spent the last 7 years of my life working at, and considering how it all happened, it is highly doubtful I will ever be able to teach there or anywhere again. I have no memory of that recording, but the words that was spoken were clearly coming out of my mouth, and when I tried to deny it, the principal told me that she had several students who would testify to its authenticity. She had received a dozen phone calls already demanding my suspension or even my arrest. I was asked to leave in a tone that was just about as polite as it can be, considering the circumstances and the silent stares I received from my former colleagues as I retrieved the few small personal belongings that I had in our shared office space said more than any words could. Of course, they all knew. So, when I came home and I found that the entire floor of the building complex in which my apartment had been a part of had been burned out, I was not quite as surprised as I would have otherwise been. 2 officers at the premise spotted me as I approached the building, and one of them nodded his head in my direction. I don't know what convinced me to do it, but I turned my heels and ran. It was the right idea. They gave chase immediately, but one of the few, if not the only hobby I've managed to keep up since my teenage years is running. I did not stop running until I was sure that no one would be able to find me. I spent that night in the woods, sleeping under an evergreen. In the morning after, I called my sister to try to make sense of things. She is the only family I have. Our father passed away several years ago in a traffic accident, and our mother passed last year in a short but rather intense bout of cancer. Now, I had barely any battery left on my phone, and my charger, along with pretty much everything else I owned that had any kind of practical use, had been lost in that fire. So, after 3 attempts, she finally picked up the phone. I could tell right away that she was wary, uncomfortable, maybe even scared. But words began to pour out of my mouth in a jumble. I couldn't help myself. I just tried to explain everything that had happened in the past 24 hours, and honestly, I can barely remember what I said to her. But during one brief pause, where I was catching my breath and trying to think of what to tell her next, she rather coldly said, "Jasper, they found your photos." And that shut me up. Not because I had any idea what she was talking about. In fact, I don't know what kind of photos she meant. I was going to ask her when I remembered the video I had been shown the previous day, and I swallowed my words. My silence encouraged her to speak more, and she added hurriedly, "Don't call me again. I don't ever want to hear from you." Then she hung up, and I was left standing there in the middle of the woods, staring blankly into nothing. Had the police told her? Well, they must have. And if they had, maybe they had tapped her phone. Were they heading to my location right now, ready to arrest me for a crime I had no idea what it even was? None of this made any sense. None of this makes any sense. I have never said or done anything remotely controversial during my years as a teacher. I was generally well-liked, respected by my peers. I was the guy who organized our after-work get-togethers, for fuck's sake. I wondered for a brief moment if I had lost my mind, if I had somehow succumbed to some mental sickness, some kind of schizophrenia. I didn't feel like I had, but that in itself was no proof of anything. And for a few seconds, I entertained the idea of all of it being some kind of elaborate prank or a game. But who did I know who had even remotely the amount of resources, not to mention the sick, dark sense of humor, to do this to me? In a daze, I wandered for what might have been hours. My brain was pretty scrambled at that point, and even though I was so focused on the recent chain of events, by the time I stopped, I was even more confused than I had been. Grief over the loss of my pets was starting to seep in, and I was fighting hard to keep my composure as I was now passing by people heading to their jobs in the morning rush. what snapped me out of it was when I wasn't able to pay for a small cup of coffee at a newsstand. My cards, both of them, were rejected, and after several attempts, I had to excuse myself due to the queue forming behind me. The man behind the counter looked for a second like he was going to give me the coffee for free, but I left too quickly for him to make up his mind. And that was when I realized that all of this had to have been done to me on purpose. I don't know how often I will be able to upload another video like this, but it is something to keep me sane while I try to find out who did this to me. If I find them, I don't know what I will do. I'm sorry to say I will not be returning to making videos about brewing IPAs anymore. So to those 26 subscribers that follow me for that content, I apologize. I am rebranding. And if the person who did all this to me is watching, for any sick reason, I hope you are enjoying yourself. Enjoy it while you can. I'll talk to you later.